Hello, and welcome back to Fashion Founders, the podcast. My name is Victoria Smith, and this week we have a special episode. This is an EDGE New York Fashion Week recap. If you don't know about EDGE, it was co-hosted by Threads of Tech, Mary Korlin-Downs of All Things Fashion Tech, and In Haus. And it was a full-day fashion tech event with 5 panels, 20 panelists, a pitch competition with investors, 12 startup booths, and over 500 attendees. I hosted a pop-up podcast studio for fashion founders at the event and was interviewing panelists to recap the panels that they were on and share some behind the scenes. So you'll hear from about, I think, 15 people and from the hosts of the event, of course. So if you attended the event, you'll get some extra information and behind the scenes with the panelists. And if you weren't able to attend the event, you can get a 1-hour recap of the, I think, 12-hour day. For everyone who said hi to me and I got to meet at EDGE, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. It means more to me than I think I can express and makes me so excited to keep making these episodes and putting out information, learning from people, and just being a part of this community. If we didn't get to meet, please DM me on Instagram. I would love to connect. And it would also mean so much to me if you are enjoying the podcast, if you would be able to leave a rating, review, and follow the show. It is definitely the best way to keep up with everything, and it helps more people find the show and find out about fashion tech. Thank you so much again to Manya, Mary, and Colette for putting on this incredible event and everyone else who helped out. It was such a fun and fulfilling day. So let's get into the episode. Hi, who am I here with?
I'm Mary. I'm the founder of All Things Fashion Tech.
What is your word of the year for fashion tech?
For fashion tech specifically, it has to be personalization. I feel like you're probably going to get a lot of that today, but everything needs to be hyper personalized from here on out. That's what consumers want. That's what they're looking for. And so fashion tech has to give it to them.
What are you most excited about for today?
To network, just to chat with people. I'm such a people person. I love having conversations. And I feel like there's going to be so many people that have similar interests here that want to learn about fashion tech or are already in the world of fashion tech. So I'm just excited to meet more people and build those networks, build those relationships. It's going to be a really, really fun night. I absolutely know it.
And where did you come in from?
Seattle. Yeah.
Cross country.
Cross country. It was a 4 or 5 hour delay. So it was a true full day of travel. But we're here.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Amazing. Thank you. Hello. Who am I here with?
Hi, everyone. I'm Colette Johnson, founder of In Haus, which is a tech agency that helps connect fashion brands and companies with their tech talent wherever they are.
What is your word of the year for fashion tech?
Booming. That's such a weird word to use. I feel like when I say booming, I think of boomer. But regardless, I think that fashion tech is blowing up right now. And, for the people who have been in it for years, I think it feels like it's been around and there's concepts that we've been working on and seeing seeded everywhere for years. I feel like larger brands are catching on. I feel like people are starting to hear the buzzword of fashion tech. I mean, the fact that it's becoming a buzzword means that it's actually something that's up and coming and the innovation is here today. And I'm so excited to get to dive into that a little bit more in this expo.
If you could wave a magic wand and your dream product or solution is happening, what would it be?
It's actually where I started my journey in fashion tech. I created a company focused on helping women find clothes that fit their bodies using computer vision. My ultimate dream, if I waved a wand, would be to erase the mass production of clothing and focus on fit and just produce based on people's body shape, what looks good on them. No doubt that people can feel good about the skin that they're in. That would be my one magic wand.
What are you most excited about for today?
Well, the room's already buzzing and that already invigorates me and gets me excited for the next year of projects and more networking. So I think today I'm really excited to bring large companies together with the top fashion startups right now to have these discussions and kind of keep spreading the word that fashion tech is here, it's growing, and it is a viable business for people who are coming out of college who might not necessarily know what fashion tech is, all the way up to C-suite execs that don't prioritize innovation. And if they keep going down this route, they're going to realize that it's hurting their bottom line. So I'm really excited to have these discussions with people from young to old, beginning to end, and how we innovate in this space.
Hello, who am I here with?
Hi, I'm Claire, and I'm the founder of Future Reference.
And we just finished the Breaking into Fashion Tech panel. So what is one takeaway from that panel?
I think just how important it is to network, just talk to as many people as possible in the industry and jobs you want to be in. It's the best way to, one, just meet people and get involved, but also learn what you want and what you like.
What is one lesson you've learned from running a business?
I would say how important it is to just keep talking to your customers. It is so important to just keep open lines of communication, build some type of community where you can get constant feedback, because that's the way that you iterate, that you make the service better, and that you know what you're building is for a customer.
Do you have a scrappy founder story you can share?
Yes. So when we were first testing out the concept of future reference and getting feedback, we would go stand in line at sample sales for designers that we love, that we felt would be a good fit for the platform. One, because it was a very captive audience. They didn't have anything to do but stand in line. So it was a really great place to find feedback, but also they were our target customer. They were interested in the brands that we love, that we support. So it was just a great place, but it was a lot of time standing in line, handing out coffee, making our pitch, refining our pitch, and getting feedback.
The not so glamorous side of being a founder.
Yeah. We stood outside at the Row sample sale actually, and ended up getting interviewed by the Daily Mail, which was our first press feature. Not what I expected, but it's a really fun way to just like connect with your customer.
And if you could wave a magic wand, create any tech product, physical product, any solution, what would it be?
It is something related to what we're doing, but we want to digitize every closet out there so that you can shop from closets no matter where they are, but also find pieces that you didn't know existed, find things that you're looking for, and just through that make resale easier. So digitizing everything out there so that we can make things more circular.
And what is your word of the year for fashion tech?
I think my word would be like effortlessness. I think it's whether you're trying to find something, you want it to be effortless. You don't want to spend a ton of time searching for it. Resale, we clearly want to be effortless. So I think it's effortlessness.
I love that. Well, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Who am I here with?
I'm Julia O'Mara. I'm the founder of Pickle.
And what is one takeaway from the panel that you can share?
I would say, regardless of the background that you have, you can enter into the fashion tech industry because you're able to, whatever those unique skill sets are, whether it is more on the technical side or direct fashion experience or just a problem solving mindset, you can bring that over here.
If you could wave a magic wand and create anything, any product solution, what would you do?
This is very unrealistic, but I would wave a magic wand and I would get Carrie Bradshaw's closet on Pickle so we could all rent and borrow her pieces.
That would be amazing. What is your word of the year for fashion tech?
My word of the year for fashion tech is access. I think a lot of the technologies and products that we are building is making fashion more inclusive and accessible to more people, whether that's an affordable option, a searchable option, or something in that realm.
And do you have a scrappy story you can share about being an entrepreneur, starting your own company?
Yes, at the beginning of starting Pickle, we knew we needed door-to-door delivery to make Pickle a true extension of your closet. And so we couldn't afford couriers or build out that technology yet. So Brian, my co-founder, and I were the first Pickle couriers, and we did 4,000 subway rides to fulfill the first 1,500 orders on Pickle. But it was a great way to meet customers literally at their door and learn a ton from them.
And what is one lesson you've learned from running your own business that you can share?
I'd say the power of community, and that sounds a bit cliche, but our entire product runs based on our community and the word of mouth. We have 85% organic growth, and that's because people absolutely love talking about a solution that is helping them solve a problem, whether it's a last minute outfit they need when they're in a pickle, or whether it's a really amazing side hustle opportunity there.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, who am I here with?
I'm Lior Cole, founder of Ari, changing our name to InLoom. So you can see it on InLoom.com when this is going to be posted.
What was your main takeaway from that panel?
I think the main takeaway was just the value of people with diverse backgrounds coming into this very new space. Everyone had something valuable to bring to the table, an interesting perspective, and all of us had very different backgrounds, but we're doing the same thing. So yeah, it's really interesting to see all these different types of people come together.
What is one lesson you've learned from running your own business?
I would say the power of trusting your gut and interpreting external information. I know I said this a little bit on the panel, but external information from other projects that are coming out and also just general advice that you're getting from people. Everyone realistically has their own set of expertise, backgrounds, wherever they're coming from is the lens that they are creating a perspective through. And you are the expert in the thing that you're building, especially because it's so new. And so the ability to quickly and effectively interpret all this outside information that is very valuable, but not holistically. It's valuable in the way that you interpret it.
Do you have a scrappy story you can share about being an entrepreneur?
Absolutely. So I had no idea what I was doing in the beginning. I was ideating through a lot of ideas. The first belief that I was building under was basically just this belief that a humanized interface is going to be a very effective mode of communication for industries that are not as tech involved like fashion. And so what I realized is like, I need to build this humanized interface myself because I had no money. I couldn't outsource this. And I knew that the interface itself, like I understand the merit of building an MVP, but I think this MVP, like the value that I was trying to test was seeing if like a really, really beautiful interface was actually going to deliver the results that I was thinking it would. And so the interface actually had to be beautiful. Like it couldn't be like a scrappy version of beautiful, but I didn't have the funding to go out to like a VFX artist and hire them full time or even part time or hire them at all. So I basically went on YouTube, locked myself in my room. I took my money from the first photo shoot I did modeling to buy this like high power processing like computer. And so that it could basically process all of the animations and like VFX stuff that I was going to build myself. And literally for 3 months, did not leave my room, built this beautiful avatar that we tested this interface with this whole like beta test. And yeah, I literally just trained myself to become a VFX artist. I want to say overnight, but within 3 months.
Wow. What is your word of the year for fashion tech?
I'd say personalization.
And I actually want to add one more thing because I love that you said fashion is about self-expression and tech helps amplify that. Can you just speak to that idea a little bit more?
Yeah, fashion really is a reflection on where society has been, or humanity generally has been, where we are now, where we're going. It's a reflection on your identity. And technology is really like an extension of human abilities from the earliest stages, the earliest evolution of life to now. Really, everything that you do as a person is amplified because of the technology that we have to arm ourselves. And so the marriage of this thing that really drives humanity forward culturally, societally, and identity-wise through fashion, and then merging that with the thing that really like is able to tactically amplify whatever you're doing, like technology, seems like a perfect pair. So that's why I'm excited about this. One of the reasons why I'm excited about this intersection.
Yeah, no, the way you spoke about it, like really just made it make I think of like why it's so necessary. Not it's like a want or a nice to have, but like a need. Hi, who am I here with?
Hi, my name is Allison Lee. I'm the founder and CEO of Revive. So our panel was about how can we support our brand partners. And I think 4 panelists had sort of like a different perspective on that, which was really interesting. Obviously, we had like a resale supporter, we had a verification supporter. I think mine was a little bit more of like a back-end supply chain logistics supporter. Trends are happening. The brands are finally ready to think about real innovation. So a lot of the brands, especially if you look at legacy brands, they are very stuck in like the status quo way of like working on their business. But I think now they're sort of like forced to reevaluate that. So I'm really excited that, of course, it's going to be a very difficult time, but at the same time, like, do we really get to see big changes happen in the industry? Like, here.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Hi, who am I here with?
Hi, my name is Estelle. I'm the founder, one of the co-founders of Kate. It's a membership community for aspirational shoppers and the brands that want to reach them. We basically give you awesome perks to great brands. It's that simple.
So we said I'm on the wait list.
Oh, girl, we're going to get you off that wait list. I accept personal
on
outreach in my
camera.
DMs. I've been known. No, we need to fix that. But yeah, it is exclusive. You can be invited by a current member. We also do partner with people like Erica, who moderated my panel today, to drop invites to their audiences. We kind of believe that like great shoppers deserve more. So the goal is not to be, you can't sit with us, Raya. It's very much to protect the integrity of the community, but also let it spread to the people that deserve it. And there's a balance to that.
I love that. So your panel was on innovation.
Yeah.
What was one main takeaway from that panel?
It was honestly, I learned more from the people on the panel than I expected. My takeaway was brands have a lot of needs and a lot of problems, and thinking about ways to cater to very specific needs, not like big, broad sweeping, but to go in on something very specific is the right wedge to start partnering. And I think pretty much every brand on the stage does something super specific for brands, and that allows you to grab onto something that's such a core need and then expand.
What is one lesson you've learned from business?
Oh, I was a VC investor before this, so I feel like all I did was study businesses. I think the team is everything. You have to work with people you love, otherwise you won't enjoy it. Invest in the team. It's everything.
And do you have any scrappy stories to share about being an entrepreneur?
Oh my God. Yes. I mean, we are a community, so we do a lot of events for our community. We've done some last minute events. Okay. We did an event with Molly Sims beauty brand called Wise Beauty. They're a partner of ours. We were in beta at the time. This was at her house in the Hamptons. Celebrities, influencers, cool people, female founders. It was a vibe. One of our brands was dressing somebody that was attending the event, and this is one of our favorite brands. And what our role in the event was, we were co-hosts. And again, like we had like 2 weeks to pull this together, basically. And our brand partners were dressing 30 kind of influential women at the event, including like Nikki Hilton. So we were in beta. We're like, barely breathing here, super stoked about it. And the dress that this influencer was meant to wear, that this like really high-end brand invested in, didn't arrive. So it was morning of the event. Me and the other couple girls on our team, shout out Taya and Catherine, drove to East Hampton where like this brand was carried in one store and purchased a dress from that brand and drove another hour and a half. And this was all on a morning where we had like 100 other things to do.
What is your word of the year for the future of fashion?
Ooh, innovate.
And what is one thing you are excited about coming up?
We're launching an app. We launched with a website, which is crazy because people like apps. We launched with a website, but we didn't want to wait. We're launching an app in the next month, 6 weeks, and I cannot freaking wait. Very excited for that.
Well, thank you so much.
Likewise. Thanks so much.
Hi, who am I here with?
It's Andrew Parietti. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Croissant. We offer guaranteed resale prices at the point of purchase. So if you shop with our browser extensions, we'll show you a 5-year guarantee on about 2 million items across apparel and accessories, ready to wear. And selling them back to us is as easy as using our Croissant app. You can sell in about 1 click. And we'll pay you out in cash and store credit as soon as we receive your item.
I've used it. It's very cool.
Thank you.
Can you share one takeaway from that panel?
That's a good question. I mean, the variety of different problems that people were solving was really interesting, right? Like you had Cake, who was really coming at it from a consumer perspective, building an alternative acquisition strategy for brands, which is really different than verification of products. But I think if there's any takeaway, each of the founders kind of represented depth of an idea, just like going really deep in a subject, trying to get excellent at their category. I thought that before Revive was Hemster, and her journey to get there has been like quite a journey. So to kind of find her sweet spot was like, I don't know how long it's been, but she said it's been a long journey. So I think depth of discovery of idea and the layers of each of these businesses, even if Cake is brand new and we're somewhere in between, I think like choosing one thing and going as deep as possible is definitely the way.
What is one lesson you've learned from your work at Croissant?
I think we definitely have dealt with this, like, is it too good to be true thing? And that's been an interesting lesson to deal with. Like, we offer prices that are really competitive, right? And the reason why is because our model is so different. But as a brand new product on the market, how do you convince and build trust, right? Because it's a long-term relationship that we're trying to establish with our shoppers and our users. And so we're offering a 5-year guarantee, but they're asking the question like, okay, well, this feels too good to be true. And are you going to be around for 5 years? So building trust, I think, has been a big lesson that we've been trying to work through, like credibility. Part of that's been like working with really great partners, both on the brand side. Like obviously having the right brand partners certainly helps and builds legitimacy, but also like had some great Substack partners who have also told our story in their own way. So people like Leanne Germaine and Laura Riley, Courtney Grow have all done versions of it. Erica, who led our panel, has covered us and is a fan. So that's been something that we've been really like working super hard on, is just like, how do we build trust as a new brand?
What is your word of the year for the future of fashion?
I'm not the guy to answer that question. I think, well, one thing that I don't know that this is my word, but one thing that we've been leaning into more from a marketing perspective that I've been really happy to see work is the idea of intelligence and smarts, right? Like those are words that maybe belong in like this audience today, like the fashion tech audience, but like smart and intelligence and fashion like haven't always gone together. But I think like we say this thing like the smartest way to buy nice things as like one of the things that Croissant really unlocks for people. And we really believe in this, like just empowering shoppers with more intelligence and smarts. And like, that's like the winning formula. So I think just like being smart about what you buy, what you invest in is like kind of my version of like a word in fashion for 2025. Obviously that's very biased towards what we do, but
Yeah, you have to be biased.
Okay, great. Fine. I'll do it.
Your panel was on innovation. What is something you're excited about happening in this industry?
I think that like there's still a huge discrepancy between the amount that people would like to resell and the amount that people are reselling. And I like any innovation that's playing in that space, right? Like the fluidity between new and used products, I think should grow. And I think the kind of underlying things that require that to happen are like more high quality products being produced and entering into the market, and then technology to enable that, and then users that are really fluid between new and vintage. And I'm really just like a champion of anything that helps kind of create that fluidity of the market so that everything that's in your closet that you're not getting any use out of anymore, like doesn't have to sit in your closet, can actually end up in someone else's hands. And I think that that's super important kind of future of the fashion economy.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hello, who am I here with?
Hi, I'm Jackie Berardo. I'm a researcher at Meta, and I'm also the founder of a company called Future Of. Really excited to be here.
Amazing. What was one takeaway from that panel?
Ooh, so the panel that I was on is extending life cycles in fashion, and I learned a lot about sustainability in fashion. Specifically, one takeaway of mine is that we need a lot more energy and resources in material sciences. Like, I want my clothing to biodegrade. I want it to be able to be one with the earth. So a little controversial, but that was my biggest takeaway.
What is one lesson you've learned from starting your own business?
Yeah, so it's a little bit more of a design studio. So kind of a fun way for me to experiment outside of the day-to-day of my work that is primarily with software. I really wanted to see what it would be like to be involved with physical products and their production. The biggest takeaway from that is that physical products are really hard, and supply chains and logistics associated with that are really difficult, but it's been a lot of fun to get involved.
What is your word of the year for the future of fashion?
Whoa. Okay, that is a big one. This is very cliche, but I would have to say speed. I think that there has been a lot of quote unquote innovation in fashion for the last several years, but the reality is that experiments have been launched over the course of years. And now, and it's a cliche, but with AI, the efficiency that's enabled by a lot of this no code tooling, for example, we can launch experiments and move at speeds that were not previously possible. And so, given that there's been a lot of this kind of like energy and motion in fashion tech, but I'd say not as much necessarily like success, like digital products aren't consumed at the rate we might expect, et cetera, like digital fashion. Let's launch more experiments. Let's be fast. Let's be speedy. And so, for that reason, I would make my word speed.
Do you have a scrappy story to share of being an entrepreneur?
Yeah. So I will say I used to be in venture capital. And so I admire real entrepreneurs that are going at it as their full-time gig. I'm very much experimenting right now. But that said, what I would say as in order to be scrappy is just put things into the world before you feel like they're ready. On our website right now, futureof.fun, for example, we have our experiment app, which is just user-generated clothing. And it's kind of ready. We're learning and we're testing in real time. And for our last several experiments, we've done the same, and it's worked out really well. And we've had our best changes and adjustments made when we've launched something a little bit too early and gotten feedback that we've then implemented in the product. So the scrappy story and the takeaway would be launch early, launch before you're ready.
What is one thing you're excited about for the future of fashion?
Something that I mentioned on the panel is I am really excited about innovation in material sciences. I'm pretty passionate about the microplastics problem, which is kind of a niche problem still, but the idea that microplastics, which are in almost all of the materials that we consume, as in are the packaging for goods and food products, and then also all the materials that we put on our body, so fashion, and they're pretty negative for our health. I am really excited for someone, I don't necessarily think it's going to be me, but to invent either the biodegradable plastic or the different form/material that is better for human health and then also better for the environment. Please do that. And if you want to do it, reach out to me. I'd love to hear what you're working on.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, who am I here with?
Hi, I'm Chloe Songer, the founder of Thousand Fell and Super Circle.
And you were just on a panel. What is one takeaway from that panel?
I think the biggest takeaway from the panel was actually, the most surprising thing to me was actually the audience engagement. We had a couple hundred people fully locked in for 45 minutes. I think it was their fifth panel of the day, hanging on every word, participating in questions. And I think for me, particularly around sustainable fashion, it's really this need right now in the market and the interest that the consumer has to make change to get involved.
What is one lesson you've learned from this process?
This might be cliche, but I can't understate it enough. I think when people talk about entrepreneurship, they throw around the word resilience. but it could not be more the truth, I guess. I've seen so many people try to start an idea or have an idea for an innovation or a new brand, and they give it 6 months and they're not seeing success and they stop. And this has really taken us 6, 7 years to build through COVID, through financial crises, through trade wars, through so many different roadblocks and stumbling blocks. And again and again and again, to me, entrepreneurship is really the story of resilience.
Consistency with it, too.
Consistency. You just keep going and it'll happen, but it takes time. I mean, most businesses take 10 to 15 years to actually become an established company.
What is your word of the year for the future of fashion?
I don't know if it's my word of the year, or my word of the decade, but my word of the decade is circularity, circular economy. So, if it's Super Circle, that's our brand, but it's what I'm really focused on is transitioning away from the linear economy towards the circular economy and thinking about more holistic models for sustainability like circularity.
Do you have any scrappy stories you can share about being an entrepreneur?
I've got a million. I'll tell a fun, scrappy one, I guess, from Thousandfell, this circular sneaker brand. So many we were 20, my co-founder and I were 25 and 26. We'd worked in fashion, we worked in supply chain. We're trying to start a footwear brand. Footwear is a very hard supply chain to break into. And we were trying to completely redo, like, how do you design a sneaker that can be pulled apart at end of life? And how do you get outside the traditional material sourcing? We're two independent people. We're not a global company that has access to supply chain and fiber developers. So we were just researching and researching and researching, and we needed a new type of rubber. We needed a new type of foam. We needed, everything in the shoe had to be new. And my co-founder, I think, he doesn't take no for an answer, and he's the most optimistic person I know. And so we were cold calling people all over the world, and to get the rubber that we had in our shoes, we've changed our rubber supply chain now, but the original rubber for the first 3 years was the same rubber used in all of Patagonia's wetsuit. And it was a sustainably sourced rubber out of Latin America or South America. And we were trying to get a contact at this company because we wanted to figure out how to use the wetsuit rubber into sneaker outsoles because it was an incredibly clean, natural rubber. And we found a phone number and called it. And we found the founder's cell phone number and called him while he was on vacation in Chile with his children and convinced him to do a test with us on sneakers. And similarly, on trying to get a foam into the shoe that we could pull out and recycle, that was more of an eco-friendly foam. And back when we were doing this development was 2017, 2018. And it might seem crazy now, but just 8 years ago, there really wasn't a lot of innovation available in the marketplace for biomaterials or bioavailable foams. And so there's only where that innovation was happening was in the mattress space, like sustainable mattresses. And so we found a mattress company that was a family-owned mattress company out of Austria that was run by a father and son. And they had developed a castor bean oil foam where, foams are generally made with petroleum, right? Like most oil-based foams, but it was a castor bean oil-based foam. And we convinced them to start to sell us thinner sheets of the foam that we could put into shoes instead of mattresses.
So you made it happen yourself.
Yeah, we had to. I mean, we had to. There's no website you can go to and be like, let me see all the foams in the world, right? Like that marketplace doesn't exist. So that's why the supply chain isn't digitized. It's not online. It's very opaque. You're generally a big corporation or a big brand working with a factory. Your factory is helping to source fabric or fiber locally. Right. And so even if you're a small upstart brand and you go to a factory, your factory is helping you to source fabrics, or maybe you as the designer have access to a couple of mills. But when you really get into product development, like when people say supply chain, what it actually means is what materials are you sourcing? Where are they coming from? And then how are you pulling that all together? Because you have to find a plastics manufacturer, a foam manufacturer, a rubber manufacturer. And that's hard, right? But all of that was just some of the fun, scrappy, our first shoe, I think, it wasn't the most sustainable from a carbon footprint of shipping point of view, but it was the best materials we could find. I think it had materials from 7 different countries because we needed to find the best recycled poly or the best rubber or the best foam. And that was such a journey. And the industry's changed a lot in 8 years. Now you have sugarcane based foams and all sorts of different materials on the market that just weren't there at the time.
Very cool to hear all about. What is something you're excited about happening in this industry?
I'm really excited for all the consumer excitement around tech innovation, sustainable innovation, circularity in general. But one of the things that I'm the most excited about, and this is maybe antithetical to innovation per se, is that there has finally been progress on legislation. And I actually do fundamentally believe in the idea of a free market. I do benefit from capitalism, but there is a role for smart policy and smart legislation that helps to guide markets, right? Not hinder innovation. And there's been progress on both extended producer responsibility legislation that will
start to help create a recycling market and a textile recycling market. There's a bill, Senate Bill 707, that just passed in California in the fall. And then there's been additional progress on other fashion acts over the last few months for both sustainable reporting, labor development. It is all very exciting to me. So I think a lot more to come in terms of transparency and accountability in the fashion industry.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, hello. Who am I here with?
Hi, I'm Rachel. I work at FabScrap. We're a nonprofit out in Brooklyn, and we work with reusing and recycling dead stock material.
And you guys helped with the display, right?
Yeah, we donated a bunch of fabric because that's what we get. We work with over 900 brands in New York and Philly, and we collect their waste. And to us, it's something that can be very reused or recycled. So, for example, maybe someone who made this jumpsuit I'm wearing now, they picked out 3 or 4 different blues, and they maybe picked out a different zipper. And what happens to all that wasn't used? It goes to landfill. That's where FabScrap steps in. We grab all the materials, we reuse them or recycle them.
You guys are doing amazing work. Can you share one main takeaway from the talk?
Ooh, circularity. I love that people are kind of shifting their mindset to circularity. I had mentioned what kind of prompted me to do that. I used to say sustainable, but to me, circular is more of an action. I'm doing something. And so I love this push towards the infrastructure around circularity and thinking about the full supply chain. Because again, where before anyone ever sees the clothes.
What is one main thing you've learned by working at FabScrap?
Oh my gosh. My mind is racing. I'll share a stat. It's estimated that about little less than 50% of all the materials that are created are wasted before you and I as consumers see the clothes. And again, that's rolls of fabrics, trim, sample garments, all wasted before we even see it. And it's more than post-consumer as well.
The stats are always insane to me about the fashion industry.
And I do repeat the same ones, but they're so impactful every time, even to myself.
What is your word of the year for the future of fashion?
Community. Can't do this alone. Right? I can't swap a sweater with you if you're not there. I can't help you repair. I can't help you brainstorm or innovate all these amazing tech companies that are here. You can't do it alone. We have to work together.
And what is one thing that you're excited about for this industry?
Oh, getting rid of trends. Enough. We need personal style. We need new, innovative ways to look at things. We need to use what's already existing. Another stat that I love to share is there is enough material on this earth to clothe the next 6 generations. So we got to get rid of virgin new raw material. Use what's already there and creatively and fun.
I love that. Well, thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.
Hello, who am I here with?
Hi, I'm Danielle Vermeer. I'm the head of social commerce at ThredUp and former co-founder of Teleport, which was a TikTok for thrifting app for Gen Z.
Very, very cool. You just spoke on a panel. What was one main takeaway from that panel?
I think a big takeaway was that sustainability is something that people aspire to, and it feels good to say that you care about it. But when push comes to shove or dollars in your wallet, a lot of times it falls below the line. And so ways that we can across the board, pre-consumer, post-consumer, resale, secondhand, just all hands on deck, I think is really inspiring. So it was great. It was a great panel.
What is one scrappy story you can share from being an entrepreneur?
Oh my gosh, so many. As I mentioned, was co-founder and CEO of Teleport and built and launched this TikTok for thrifting app, really focused on Gen Z secondhand fashion. And so one of the scrappiest things we did just to start was putting stuff from my closet, friends' closets, like anyone that I could beg, borrow, steal from to get items onto our marketplace. And then once we had that proof of concept, like I would literally manually create the shipping labels. I would pay out sellers through Cash App. Like there was no payments. There was no formal like checkout post-purchase experience. It was so hands on deck. And then once we had that proof of concept, really building out the actual code and systems to go big. But that, worked for a couple of months and then scaled from literally like 0 items to 160,000 items on the marketplace within a few months. So it worked.
What is one lesson you learned while building Teleport that you're now bringing to Thread?
I think the importance of incorporating social elements in the experience, where so many of us get inspiration from Pinterest, from TikTok, from Instagram, and we're taking screenshots, we're saving on a Pinterest board. Like we're kind of disorganized in where we discover and get inspired and then where we actually end up purchasing. And so I'm really obsessed with this idea of how do we really bridge that and make it really easy and fun to bring social elements into the thrifting experience online and then also make it easy for people to share out. And so really continuing that flywheel.
What is your word of the year for the future of fashion?
So I was thinking about this, not necessarily for the future of fashion. I typically don't do New Year's resolutions, but I do sometimes word of the year. And so my theme for this year, my word is flow. And so like getting into this hyper-focus flow state where I think so much of fashion tech, the foundation is built, particularly for resale, but now it's really about scaling and innovating.
What is one thing that you are excited about that's happening?
I'm so excited about the role of AI in disrupting the fashion industry. You really think about, I think Chloe from Super Circle mentioned this, of like, we're in this very linear model of take, make, waste for fashion that has not honestly changed for like hundreds of years. Like, we're still doing the same types of things. It's race to the bottom of whoever makes the clothes in the cheapest way possible versus how do we really use these new tools and technologies to, from the ground up, reinvent it. And so I think we're going to see a totally different fashion industry within even like 10 years, which is exciting.
Very exciting. I hope so. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Hello, who am I here with?
Hi, I'm Devin Rule, co-founder of Index.
What is your main takeaway from the panel?
I think main takeaway is that resale and recycling and that side of circularity is so super important. We need people to keep building in that space. But also, I think we have to hold these two things in together. We cannot depend on that solely to get ourselves out of the overconsumption crisis.
What is one scrappy story you can share about being an entrepreneur?
I would say, I think maybe the scrappiest thing we've ever done as Index. So me and my co-founder both, we actually, neither of us have a background in tech. So we are fashion tech founders and with a background in fashion, so more on the strategy and operations side, but nothing in tech. But we didn't let that hold us back. So me and my co-founder especially took things into our own hands 3 years ago and actually built our MVP on a no-code platform herself. And this is, I think we've actually made this in so much progress in the last just 3 years alone in AI tools that makes that process even easier for someone who's not technical. So I would say like, no matter who you are, if you have that insight, if you have that customer link of like, this is a product that's needed, you don't need a tech co-founder. I think it certainly helps. It can certainly help, but you don't have to let that hold you back.
From building your business, what is one lesson you've learned?
One thing we've seen is, at the beginning, especially, you have to keep the team small. I think it is between your co-founders to really find product market fit. And when you have it, you will feel it, right? But until you've reached that point where you really feel there's a shift, there's like a shift under your feet of like, oh shit, like this is something really works and is taking off. But until that point, until you feel that shift, like I think it's potentially a mistake to go out and really hire a big team because you can have a big team that actually adds kind of operational complexity, right? Every single person you add is going to add kind of inefficiency to what you do, right? Just because you have to all communicate with each other, right? And so until you find that traction point, I think that's something done best between co-founders. And then you don't want to bring people into that mess, you know what I mean? And then build from there, I think is important.
What is your word of the year for the future of fashion?
I hope and I think personal style. I think we're finally getting to a place where we recognize that's important, right? I think in the last few years, we've been in a cycle of just hyperconsumption, right? I think fast fashion brands they've democratized fashion by making kind of any style accessible to anyone, right? You can go out there and you can achieve any style you want with those things now. I think we've been doing that and realizing that, oh shit, maybe I'm more confused than ever, right? And maybe just because I can have something doesn't mean I should have all those things, right? And that personal style is, a good thing for sustainability, but also just a better way to get dressed. Ultimately, like you want to get dressed in the morning and make that feel easy, but also feel like you're expressing your insides to your outsides is kind of how I say it. And so that's something that's really important. I think where people are getting on board and we're all hopefully getting a little better at developing that.
A big theme we talk about here is innovation. What is one thing you're excited about that's happening?
I think one of the things that has previously frustrated me about fashion is everyone kind of operating in their own silo. To give an example from our world at Index, we're all about having a digital record of what you own. And there's all sorts of people solving this in different ways. So for example, resale has to solve this problem. We have to create digital product listings. ThredUp, you just talked to Danielle, like a huge part of ThredUp's business is that they spend a lot of time, money, energy creating those digital listings. Brands have to create digital listings. It's called a product page. They invest time, money, energy into doing that. And yet we don't have this piece in between from when the consumer really owns that product. And this is I think that's one example of a number of problems that are very solvable. Like we actually don't need a ton of super innovative out there space age tech to solve this, but we just need to work together. You know what I mean? And we need to build those partnerships across entities. And I see that while breaking down of seeing each other as less competitive and more collaborators. And so I think I'm excited about that for the future of fashion.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, who am I here with?
Hi, I'm Kate Sander, CEO and co-founder of Benny.
Can you share one takeaway from the panel you were just on?
So I just spoke on a panel about personalized shopping, and I think there's so much exciting energy in the space. I think the general consensus is that what we are doing now just feels incredibly inefficient and not super personalized. You're going kind of the same landing pages and filtering down. And so a lot of exciting conversation around what the future looks like, where when you search for something, it's giving results that are catered to you. And then how Benny plugs in. And what makes me really excited is that resale. Once you find something that you like, Benny is there to find it for you secondhand. And secondhand kind of inherently has even more of that kind of personalization, search and discovery, like story behind pieces. So not one takeaway, but like a lot of exciting things happening in the personalized shopping world.
Very cool. So you're building your own company. What is one lesson you've learned throughout this process of building Benny?
Ooh, I think just like, and I think this was on the podcast that we did earlier. So sorry to repeat, but I think just that things are never as good or as bad as they seem. Like you really do have to kind of like not ride the wave so high and so low, because even the best days aren't like silver bullet victories. And the worst days, you're like, but we're going to survive to tomorrow and live to see another day. And like, I don't know. I think it is an emotional roller coaster. And the more kind of steady you can be of just like making incremental progress every day, you'll look back, when you pick your head up in 6 months or in a year and be like, wow, okay, we actually have come really far. So there's just like a consistency that's necessary that I think has been a good learning.
Do you have a scrappy story you can share about being an entrepreneur?
I mean, in the beginning, the scrappiest version of Benny, we were trying to just like understand, if we do search and discovery for you, will you actually buy secondhand? Like, is it that the stigma really has gone away and people are open to it? And so we literally would like had a forum where people could submit, here's what I'm looking for. And we would spend hours and hours and hours just like scraping the world of resale, searching on all the different sites ourselves and sending their friends back links, and got a number of purchases that way. And it was like the first moment where we were like, okay, if we could automate this, like this is a real business, because when we take that search and discovery process away, people are really excited about the secondhand finds that we're finding. So yeah, a lot of dangerous shopping. I mean, like, should I send this link to my friend or should I keep it for myself? It's such a good deal. But yeah, you got to be scrappy in the beginning.
And what is your word of the year for fashion?
Search. I think everyone's looking for different things, and I think there's so much innovation happening right now. And I think it's all going to be around, how do we search? What are the search results? How do we get smarter? So yeah, search.
What is one thing that you are excited about happening in this space?
I am excited by all the badass female entrepreneurs that are just getting after it and like hustling and figuring out how to solve problems. And I think there's such community that it gives me a lot of, I was saying this to someone today, I'm like, this space just gives me such optimism that like we can figure out a solution. And I think right now you need those moments of optimism, because like the world feels very heavy and the problems feel so huge. And then you come into spaces like this and you're like, okay, actually, we've got a lot of really smart, driven people working on this. And like, we're going to figure this out.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Hi, who am I here with?
Hi, I am Ashlyn Greer, founder of Fashionably.
Can you share one takeaway from the panel?
Oh man, I think in general, everybody is really shocked and also excited to be part of building actual true personalization as it relates to shopping. Obviously, that was the topic of our panel, but I think we all really just kind of united around the fact that like it's crazy that we're still shopping the way that we shop in 2025. Every other industry has figured out personalization, and shopping and e-commerce has not. So I think we're all just like really excited to be part of building something. Like we're at the forefront of it right now.
What is one lesson you've learned from building your business?
Oh man, resilience is the most important thing. We were a bootstrapped company for like 3 years, funded now, but I think just those early years has kind of shown me that you just have to keep going. Like there's going to be so many roadblocks and things along the way that make you want to quit or think that you should quit, and you have to push past them every single time. And on the other side of those things is another level of growth, another level of success, and just learning more about yourself in the process.
Do you have a scrappy story you can share about being an entrepreneur?
I have so many. It is so hard to pick one. I mean, I like to share this a lot because I think most entrepreneurs, especially first time entrepreneurs like myself, I think feel a lot of like guilt around this. But the number of times we have run out of money, no one talks about that, especially as like a bootstrapped company. I can't tell you how many times our bank account has hit zero. And obviously I've learned a lot along the way, but I think that's the main thing that I just want people to know is like, those are the actual real moments of, am I going to figure this out or not? I've got to make payroll next week and I've got to keep going. How am I going to do that? And so, gosh, I don't even know how many stories like that. Yeah.
What is your word of the year for fashion?
I'm going to say maybe a little bit different take on personalization, but personality. I think that's something that, obviously a lot of people are saying 2025 is the year of personal style. And I think the thing that I'm starting to see more of is people actually figure out not just their own personal style, but like who are they inside and what are the things that they're drawn to? What are the different subcultures they belong to? Like what's their true personality? And then figuring out how they can dress in a way that reflects that.
What is one thing you are excited about happening in this space?
I think really just being able to serve customers in a way that helps them become a more true version of their self. I think that is like at the core of what we're doing with building the future of personalized shopping is helping people step into their own confidence really. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Obviously, we're all selling clothes, we're all promoting fashion, we're part of that world. But at least for us, I think the thing that's the most impactful is when we hear from customers that say, like, I've learned to love my body again just by like giving it the space to actually get dressed. I've learned how to, step into a meeting and like just own the room just based on the outfit that I put on. So I think that's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah, well, thank you so much.
Yeah, great to be here.
Hi, who am I here with?
Hi, my name is Esna Khan. I'm the head of product and I'm here supporting FitMatch.
And you just spoke on a panel. Can you share one takeaway from that panel?
Sure. So we were focused in on personalized shopping. And I think what was really interesting is how important this area of focus is going to be in the tech space. Personalized shopping, whether it be from a brand side where they're trying to hook their customers, or it's the consumer side where they're just trying to find what fits or find what they're looking for. I don't think personalized shopping is going to go away anytime soon. It's probably going to be top of mind for all.
What is one lesson you've learned while working at FitMatch?
Things change. I think the concept of what consumers want and what clients want changes all the time. And we need to be very forward thinking. But at the same time, we need to be very open minded about how we can adapt our technology to really stick with the world. For example, AI has been such a big thing in this space. So with that, we created Fit AI. So now you can have a conversational session with someone or a shopping assistant to really shop and get to what you're looking for faster just by saying, hey, can I find that in my size? And immediately we'll give you the size that's meant for you.
Do you have any scrappy stories you can share about working at a startup?
I would say that it is tough and a lot of work. But in terms of an actual story, what's funny is one day we can have priorities set out from the entire team and we'll come in at like 7, 8 a.m. and then we'll get messages saying, hey, did you know someone reached out to me and they want to use your technology for the government space? Like, how does that work? Right. So it's really cool because people see the importance of 3D technology and they can actually see past just the retail space and how it can be used across many different verticals. So that's really exciting, but it is fast paced and changing.
What is your word of the year for fashion?
I think my word would be speed. In the world we live in today with ChatGPT or even a lot of the changes in social media and the world of TikTok, people want their information fast. They want it quick. They want to be able to scroll quickly and kind of get past exactly what they're looking for and just focus in on things that make the most sense to them. So I think that as we grow, we're building concepts, we're building Fit AI, we're building features that will give consumers what they want quickly, but with speed at all times in their personalized journeys.
And what is one thing we're excited about happening in this space?
I'm really excited that people are adapting to the concept of 3D scanning. So we basically built our technology to ensure that there's no photos or videos taken of individuals because privacy is really top of mind for us. And there was always the question that we get asked from brand partners is, will someone scan? And after so many test cases and after so many conversations with consumers, we found that more people are willing to scan just so they can find what. So I'm really excited about having this democratized into the world and have people feel more confident and comfortable with the concept of 3D scanning.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Hello, who am I here with?
Hi, I'm Manya, the co-founder of Threads of Tech and one of the co-hosts of EDGE.
It's very fitting you're the last interview of the night here.
I have been run around, pulled in all different directions, but finally sitting, feet tired, head tired, have not ate. I am ready for sleep.
What has been one of the biggest takeaways of today?
The biggest takeaway, I think that spaces like these are desperately needed. People are craving them. Like, I think everyone who came was like, the format of this event was so interactive. It was really interesting. Like, And there was so much to explore throughout the 8 hours. I think bringing more like really, really well curated spaces that are intentional and bringing those communities in real life. So I think takeaways definitely fashion tech events are where it is at, and EDGE is currently doing that.
Absolutely. And what is your word of the year for fashion tech?
I'd say growth. I think just in the last 6 to 8 months, like fashion tech has kind of skyrocketed. And I don't know if that's because I am inherently biased and everyone I follow talks about fashion tech, but I feel like, there's new emerging startups popping up all the time. And like, I try to keep my tabs and I'm like, oh my God, there's so many companies, other people like posting about fashion tech news and jobs. And I think that is so exciting to see like a real community forming around this. So definitely lots of growth.
Yeah. And you had such a big team here helping as well, like behind the scenes, not just the speakers, in the planning of this event. How many people do you think were involved?
So the planning team was about 30 people, and we had that split from marketing, PR and outreach, the production team, and then the day off team today was about 50 people throughout the day. So definitely a very large scale event and really fulfilling and tiring experience to executive produce this event. Yeah.
And how many speakers, how many guests and panelists?
Yeah, I think in total we had 5 panels, each had about 4 speakers, so that's 20. And then on the pitch competition, we had 5 pitch companies, 4 judges, that's 10. So in total, about 30, 31 speakers. Yeah. And I think 12 booths.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think too, you mentioned like it's very much growing and there were investors here too. So I think the eyes on here, the money that is like being kind of like started to funnel towards here is growing. So you put on a amazing
No, definitely agree in terms of, investor interest peaking in fashion and retail. And I think because fashion tech is a relatively new space and almost like undefined, like investors are starting to get interested, and from like a B2B standpoint with like retail innovation as well as like consumer facing. And I think with EDGE today, a large part of it was consumer facing with the booths, but the pitch competition aspect was all about B2B. And I think really exciting to see how investors are funding these spaces.
And today was obviously a huge day. What is next for you? Is it sleep? Is it planning your next event?
Definitely lots of ideas that have arose in planning this one. And every time I do a large scale event, I say never again. So after last year's EDGE, the plan was not to do another one. Here we are. Well, I don't know if I truthfully mean that. I think at that time I was like so burnt out. But in terms of future plans, definitely more community focused events. I think that is where people really want, intentional and safe spaces to talk about what they're building. Definitely an EDGE number 3 in the works.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.